There's no doubt that one guy started this and they are both playing amazing outside lines. But what is it they do when they play these amazing outside lines? And how do they get back inside? So let's see how we can explain this. When I decided to make this video, I knew this was a huge topic and it's probably more than I can chew. I really want to limit this video to playing outside when in Dorian minor. So here goes, outside playing in modal tunes. So one little heads up, on all your 251s you probably play Dorian minor on all the 2 functions. All these beautiful 2 subdominants are Dorian minor. So do not expect Dorian minor to be this small thing that only covers modal tunes. No, Dorian minor is huge. I want to start really light, so the normal minor dominant. For example, here in the B7 flat 9 flat 13 is already an altered dominant. The scale we're going to use on the B dominant is the E harmonic minor. And from the B it sounds like this. You're getting a B7 flat 9 flat 13 scale. And already in this first step, when using this B7 flat 9 flat 13 dominant, you get some pretty hip outside sounds. So to get into the sound of the harmonic minor dominant, I would train the arpeggios in the dominant. Because there are some really nice sounds in there. And then immediately after, start making licks using these arpeggios. So now we are spicing it a little bit up using the diminished scale like Brecker is doing here. You hear that when you're using the dominant diminished scale on minor chords, you get a pretty nice outside sound. And in that B7 diminished scale, you find an F minor chord, and this is called sidestepping. We're sidestepping from the E minor into the F minor, but using that diminished scale. But before we're going into this sidestepping trick, we'll look into the diminished scale. Looking at these 2 scales next to each other, we soon see that there are a lot of uncommon tones in the diminished scale compared to the E minor Dorian scale. But again, some of the tones are also the same. And this gives us a great opportunity to weave in and out of the sounds of the E minor chord and the B7 diminished scale. Moving between an inside and an outside sound. When you're playing the diminished scale, there are also this symmetrical sound. Try moving around in the symmetrical arpeggios and move towards that E minor. And you see here it's not important that some of the notes of the triads in the diminished scales are inside the E minor chord. It's the general sound that makes the outside stuff going on. Of course, to learn the sound of the diminished scale, there are tons of exercises you can apply to the diminished scale because of its diversity. And you really need to look for exercise that fits your needs. This exercise trains the triads in the diminished scale. If you want a setup of exercises fitted into licks, you should check out the lesson manual PDF on Patreon. If you want to go into the modal outside sound, I really recommend you to check out the lesson manual PDF. The download is super easy and it's all on Patreon. The link is in the description. Which brings us to the tritone substituted dominant. When you use the tritone substituted dominant, you of course get the half step movement from the F into that E minor chord. When I'm referring to the tritone dominant, I'm thinking of the dominant a tritone away from the normal dominant, so a tritone away from the B7. This is the F7. In some case you would add a sharp 11 to the F7 chord, so getting a B in there. But in this case I want that B flat in there because it gives me more outside sounds compared to the E minor chord. Because when you add this B, you get a common tone, the 5th of the E minor, that's also a B. But when you have that B flat, you get a beautiful outside blues sound. This might be self-explanatory. When you play modal E minor, all the tones of the E minor scale are inside notes. But this also means that you can just run up the scale, switch scales to the F7 chord, and then switch back to the E minor chord when you get there. So the inside-outside sound is basically just switching the scale. Of course, you need to think about the sound you want to hear, but you can resolve to any of the tone in the E minor Dorian scale from that F7 chord. This is when you're coming from outside to inside, so the turn back to inside is rather easy, just switch the scale. I think it was Brecker who started this sidestepping trip, but there might be others, there are definitely others. So what Michael Brecker is doing here on Slings and Arrows is playing a part of the G7 bebop scale and plays this little lick. And right after he takes a part of the F7 bebop scale and does the same. So this little lick, he just moves literally one step down, so this is sidestepping. When I'm playing these kind of lines, sidestepping, just moving patterns around, I'm thinking a lot about where I want the next line to go. I'm not so much thinking about the notes in the line, I'm thinking about where to go, I'm thinking about my target note. I'm playing a row of these sidestepping figures and then I'm resolving. Another thing that really works for sidestepping are 4-note cells. And why does this work? 4-note cells fits perfectly in the 4/4 bar, of course. Try any 4-note cells, put them together, see if you can hit these target notes and make it work. Resolve to the inside note again after we are finished with the line. Remember to always hit the target notes. In the lesson manual PDF on Patreon you find a lot of licks containing all these sidestepping things, the 4-note cells, the diminished scale, the harmonic minor dominant scale. All the exercises I've made in the lesson manual are made into licks that you can use directly into your playing. You can use this system and play it immediately. Get this stepping board to help you play the outside sounds in modal tunes. It's a super easy grab and go and the download link is right here. Coltrane is of course the root of these 4-note cells. So why not continue the journey finding out what Coltrane did and how he built all these beautiful 4-note cell groupings. The 4-note cells literally give you unlimited solo options. Check this video. Play music, have fun.